gives you burst after burst after burst of long-lasting freshness. Sunlight 2-in-1 for burst after burst of long-lasting freshness.
This is KTN News.
Friday, the 21st of April 2017 has ended on a very dramatic note for both the Jubilee Party and their critics who had been watching their every step. After a day of chaos and showdowns, the Jubilee Party has cancelled the entire nominations exercise carried out or attempted in 21 counties across Jubilee strongholds. Will political parties now have some respect for the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission when it comes to how to run an election? Well, Friday Briefing is all about the dramatic scenes and pronouncements of this day. You don't want to miss even a minute of it. My name is Betty Kallo and my sign language interpreter will be Marisha Owiti. And first, we take a look at the highlights.
We are currently back on the drawing board, planning for a repeat following this total recall.
Shocked by chaos and delays, Jubilee cancels nomination in all 21 counties.
So either the Jubilee Party comes clean on this matter, but there is no election in Kirinyaga.
The stakes were just too high. From Bomet to Kirinyaga, fistfights and destruction during Jubilee's nominations.
Shot is hit the crossbar to...
And Manchester United faces Celta Vigo in semi-finals as Mourinho eyes UEFA Champions League through the back door. Well, thank you very much for joining us. This is a special coverage tonight. We will not be having our guest anchor segment or Willis the Word Master segment just to try and get this whole Jubilee primaries into perspective. We have our teams on the ground and they will be joining me shortly here on the show to give us an update of really what went wrong throughout the day. Now, after trying for a whole day to get things running to accomplish a successful nomination exercise in 21 counties, the Jubilee Secretariat has thrown in the towel and cancelled the entire exercise. Well, sources say the Secretary General, Raphael Tuju, may announce new dates tomorrow morning. Well, here's our reporter, Timothy Oteno, who was speaking earlier on to Raphael Tuju.
Maybe we could begin by the latest news. We are made aware that you have cancelled all the party primaries across the country. Perhaps why?
Well, maybe I should read the statement so that then the whole content of the statement goes out to everyone. Let me read it. After consultations with the party leadership and in the interest of fairness, transparency and integrity of our primaries, it has been resolved that no voting should be going on in the various centers after dark in all counties. This decision has been arrived at after considering the safety of all our members and especially women who may be impeded in exercising their democratic rights because of fear of darkness. And already by 6:30 going to 7, we had noticed that a lot of women had started leaving the lines. That's the report that we received. The party leadership is already in the process of reprinting ballot papers in sufficient quantities to be used for the primaries next week, according to a schedule that will be released in the course of tomorrow. The party would like to thank its members for their patience and acting in a peaceful manner throughout this day. The turnout was overwhelming, and while we are encouraged by this passion and expression of support for the party, we admit to have totally underestimated the level of turnout. We own up to this mistake, and we sincerely apologize to our aspirants and supporters. We are currently back on the drawing board, planning for a repeat following this total recall. While the voting process may have proceeded well in some counties, some constituencies, and some wards to various levels of success, we are forced to take this unprecedented recall so as to ensure the integrity of our party and just to ensure that everybody gets a fair chance. Thank you. You can ask.
When we spoke to you earlier, of course, you have held 2 press conferences today, and you had exuded a lot of confidence that despite a few challenges, all would go on well. What has informed this decision to recall?
An audit by all of us involved in the process. The moment you see that there are areas where there's too many question marks, we have a very, very robust appellate system. And we know that if any aspirant comes before that appellate process and shows that the process was compromised because of various problems, then we'll find ourselves in a lot of problems, and it is not right, because you should do your best, and it should be, if not 100%, over 90% okay. But when you have a situation in which, people are voting well, the 1,000 people have voted, but there's another 600, 700 people online, and the ballot papers have run out, it is only fair that you give people another chance.
So then, I'm trying to understand then, because...
All right, so that is Jubilee Party's Secretary General Raphael Tuju speaking earlier on to Timothy Otieno on just why they had to cancel the nominations in the entire 21 counties. All right, and that is a big question tonight. That's our focus this evening, and we'd like to hear your thoughts on our big question. We're asking you, really, what is your reaction to the total recall of Jubilee's nominations throughout the country? That's what we'd like to hear from you. It is 21 counties that have been cancelled, and we're asking you, what's your reaction to Jubilee's party's total recall of nominations today? We'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Remember that Raphael Tuju was quite confident a few days ago that everything would go on smoothly, but that, of course, did not happen, and we'll get to hear from our teams on the ground just what went wrong. Tweet me at Betty Mkalo, use the hashtag Friday Briefing, and I will be taking a look at some of your responses and your reactions throughout the show this evening. All right, so like I mentioned, we have our teams on the ground reporting from quite a number of regions in the country. And let's now begin talking to them. And I'll start with Elvis Kosgei joining us live from Uasin Gishu County. Elvis, thank you very much for joining us. I know you have an interview lined up with the Governor Mandago, but just before that, give us a rundown of some of the issues that you witnessed throughout the day.
Thank you very much. We are in studio, and indeed we're waiting for the Governor of Uasin Gishu, Jackson Mandago, who is just about to arrive here in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County. But some of the things that I like to say is that he expressed dissatisfaction by the party headquarters in a manner of which he termed as inadequate or unpreparedness by the party to conduct the party primaries. But hours later, we saw the Jubilee Party Secretariat, Raphael Tuju, which he cancelled the party primaries results and also some of the exercise that he had undergone today. But the political temperature in the region are on the rise because we saw the grueling battle between Uasin Gishu Governor Jackson Mandago and the wealthy businessman Zedekiah Kiprop Bundotich alias Buzeki.
All right, Tim, one of the things that Governor Mandago talked about is that he actually accused his party of trying to rig him out and bring in Buzeki because Buzeki's places or the region that he comes from was well supplied with the ballot material, but his areas, his strongholds, so to speak, were not. Could you confirm this?
Yes, but indeed the governor said he alleged that some powerful individual in the office of the Deputy President, William Ruto, were behind the manner of which they are saying that they want to be rigged out in this election. He was accompanied by Member of Parliament of Nandi Hills, Alfred Keter, and also Kapseret Member of Parliament, Oscar Sudi, among other leaders in this region. And they say there's some powerful individual in the office of the president who wanted to rig them out. But when he'll come here, it's just a matter of fact that we'll be able to confirm those.
You spoke to us earlier on, and the feeling on the ground was actually we saw quite a number of people coming out ready to cast their ballot. What has been the reaction of these people throughout the day? Just Kenyans who had come out to cast their ballot, and then this happens now. Have you been able to get some of the reactions from them?
Okay, some of the reaction I've managed to get is that in one polling station, the MV Patel in Uasin Gishu County, residents were dissatisfied by the manner of which the party headquarters were unprepared for the exercise, Betty.
All right, thank you very much, Elvis Kosgei there speaking to us. We are expecting that any moment now the governor, Uasin Gishu Governor Jackson Mandago, is going to be speaking to him to basically react to this decision to, of course, recall all the nomination exercises that have been taking place throughout the country. All right, let's now link up with Chris Thairu. Chris, thank you very much for joining us here on Friday Briefing. Talk to us about the day that was and the reactions that you're getting in regards to this recall.
Check mic 1, 2.
All right, we apologize for that. Chris Thairu, if you're ready, we can hear you checking your mic. Maybe you can bring us up to speed with the day that was today. What can you tell us about some of the reactions also in regards to this recall of the Jubilee primaries today? All right, Chris, I'll ask a second time. Give us a rundown, really, of what happened today. What did you witness where you are, and the reactions that we've gotten as a result of Raphael Tuju's decision to cancel the entire process today?
Well, a very good evening to you, Betty, and to your viewers. I'm coming to you live from Kiambu Primary School, which is one of the polling centers in Kiambu County. And of course, residents here woke up by 5 a.m. They were ready to decide who will fly the Jubilee ticket. But at around 7, when Tuju made that announcement, here at this Kiambu Primary School, that process was still ongoing, indicating an indication that people here were eager to know who will actually fly that flag, that Jubilee flag, come the 8th of August. And now I'm joined by one of the voters who woke up very early in the morning. Well, tuanze kuambia kwa majina yako. Je, na ulikuwa hapa kuanzia saa ngapi?
Okay, kwa majina naitwa Peter Mutavi Mutua na nilikuwa hapa kuanzia saa 11 kama mpiga kura na tena msimamizi wa kituo hiki cha Kiambu Primary School. Na tulianza vizuri isipokuwa upigaji kura ulianza ukiwa umechelewa zaidi. Kiini cha kuchelewa hatukuelezwa vizuri ni nini. Mbali sisi tulikuwa na subira ambayo subira ufuta heri, na tukawa katika mistari yetu tukingojea. Na mwendo wa saa 3 upigaji kura ukaanza. Na ulipoanza tumeendelea siku mzima. Na ilipofika saa 1 hivi tukasikia uchaguzi umekanzoliwa.
Lakini hata kama umekanzoliwa, nimeona bado mnaendelea kupiga kura. Nilisikia kuna mtu wa mwisho amesubiri kupiga kura. Tena mnapanga kuhesabu hizi kura na imesimamishwa?
Ya, tumesema hata kama zimekanzoliwa, sisi kama wananchi wa Kenya na hapa mji wa Kiambu, sisi hatutafa moyo, lakini tutaendelea na kupiga kura mpaka tuone mtu wa mwisho amefikiwa na sihesabiwa tukiwa hapa, maana tunataka ku-exercise the right of the Kenyan citizen.
Na je, hizo makaratasi ya kupigia kura mtayafanya nini, kwa sababu msiyachanganye na wakati mwingine ambapo chama kitasema shughuli hii irudiwe?
Okay, wakati tutaona mwisho wa hili jambo, maoni yangu kama mwana Kenya ni haya makaratasi yamalizwe ama yachomo. Maana hakuna pengine yanaweza pelekwa.
Yeah. Asante. Well, Betty, that's one of the voters here, and I'm joined by another voter here. Je, kutatueleza kwa umesubiri hapa na shughuli ambayo imekatizwa na chama. Je, nia yako ni ipi? Mbona hutaki kwenda nyumbani?
Sitaki kwenda nyumbani sababu nimejitolea tangu asubuhi saa 11, na bali kwa sasa ndio Tuju anasema watu waende nyumbani, uchaguzi umekuwa cancelled. Kwa sasa tumeudhika sana, na tunaona ya kwamba Tuju hata hafai kuwa kwa hiyo kiti, sababu hata amepitwa na wakati. Afadhali hata wakati wa Moi ambapo tulikuwa tunaenda uchaguzi wa nominations wa mlolongo, tunapiga laini, wafuasi wa aspirant wanaenda wanamfuata kuliko hata huu uchaguzi. Jubilee Party ndio chama ambacho kimeweza kupokea pesa mingi sana from the aspirants, almost 1 billion, na ndio imekuwa na nominations zenye zimekuwa poorly conducted, na vile walikuwa nasema itakuwa true and transparent, haitakuwa.
Okay, asante sana. Well, Betty, as you had voters here are still eagerly waiting to count the votes that were cast since morning at this Kiambu primary school. Of course, they'll live here knowing who was leading, and if that process was not postponed, then they want to make sure that they know who was to take the day. And of course, during the day, there were some issues that came up. In Gatundu South, there was 3 people who were arrested in possession of crude weapons, and they're believed to have been sent by one of the aspirants, although police are still investigating that. And of course, the battle, of course, was the gubernatorial seat, and still remains the gubernatorial seat between the incumbent William Kabogo and the Kabete Member of Parliament, Ferdinand Waititu. Betty.
All right, Chris, just listening to the residents there, obviously you can hear the disappointment that they have. Have you been able to speak to some of the aspirants and even the ones that you've mentioned, and what are they saying about this cancellation?
Actually, in the morning, we had talked to several aspirants when this process was yet to kick off. Remember that most of the polling centers in Kiambu County started voting at around 3 p.m. And we were with the incumbent Governor William Kabogo, who cast his vote at St. George's Primary School in Ruiru. And actually, he raised that issue, indicating that it will only be fair for the party to postpone the whole process. Of course, wherever they are, their wish has already been granted. And due to the time, if at all, by 3, most of the polling centers had not started voting. Then, of course, by now, if at all is not that cancellation, then we'll be seeing queues of voters still eager to cast their vote. But we'll still be looking for most of those aspirants, because I know before the party decides when this repeat will be done, they'll continue being on the ground campaigning. Betty.
Very much, Chris Thairu, for that. He's reporting from Kiambu. We now want to cross over to Murang'a, which was one of the counties in which voting got off to a slow start. However, the process picked up in earnest later on in the day. Sophia Wanuna now joins me from the ground. Sophia, thank you very much for joining us. Now, does this nullification come as a shock to the residents and to the aspirants? Going by the events of the day, at least for some of the polling stations there, the voting went on smoothly.
Indeed, Betty, a very good evening to you. We're coming to you live from the Murang'a Teachers College. And this, at this hour, would have been a beehive of activities had things gone as planned. But due to that total recall of the entire primary exercise by the Jubilee Party, tonight it's a quiet night. And of course, as you said, perhaps for some it's encouragement going forward, because we spoke to a number of voters today going and traversing around some of the constituencies in this county, some who did not find their names in the voters' register. So perhaps this offers a second chance for them to be able to participate in the primaries. And also the question of the ballot papers. A lot of the electorate today complaining, as we've been covering all day, saying they were not sufficient. And so the Jubilee Party coming out, owning up to some of those mistakes, they say, and they will be regrouping to perhaps redo this again. But joining us this evening here at the Murang'a Teachers College is Sabina Chege, who's the woman rep. She's seeking to retain that position. And let me ask you this. Are you disappointed? Because in terms of the polls you are leading, it showed that you are going to easily retain your seat. So what does this mean for you, the recall?
Well, we are quite disappointed, because we were hoping by tonight, by 2 a.m., that we are going to be confirmed again as the women rep Murang'a County, and I was to retain my seat. The indications were very good. But since morning, there were signs that this is not going to happen. Because in the morning we had already dispatched our agents, and it's good to mention that I had over 2,000 agents on the ground, and they were meant to be there by 5 in the morning. And of course, then when we started conversing, nothing was happening. And by the time we got to 8, 9, and 10 in the morning, and the ballot papers were not there. So we started getting worried. Actually, I casted my vote at around 4 p.m. because I had to make sure that everybody was comfortable. But again, we had to debate with them when they said the ballot papers that came in were not sufficient. And we were hoping then, we spoke with the Jubilee head office. They had assured us that there were some choppers that were to come. And of course, the big question was, if the choppers were to bring even the ballot papers, where were they in the first place? Why didn't they dispatch the ballot papers earlier? And so it was quite disappointing, but it's okay. This is our party. Would like everything to go on well. I will tell you, my home backyard, my own home, where there were almost 1,400 registered voters, only 400 ballot papers were available, and so many people were disappointed. By the time they were told to go home, though of course this is your stronghold, you need to get all the votes, and so it was not good at all.
Let me ask you this very briefly, because coming here we spoke to some of those voters, asking them if then there's another primary, of course, organized very quickly, will they be coming up to vote after the frustrations of today? Are you concerned about apathy?
Yes, we are, but for us, we want to tell them it's not over until it's over, and it's always good for them to come back again. I know for my supporters, I'm pleading with them. I'll be meeting several of them tomorrow, and we just want to tell them it is not done. Let's treat this like it was a mock examination where we have to do our main paper, be it on Tuesday or Wednesday. We should come out and confirm to Kenyans that Jubilee is a strong party, but mainly support your candidate and support the person that you'd love them to continue working for you. Yes.
All right. Many thanks. Sabina Chege, woman rep here in Murang'a County. And as we said, Betty, even as you were handing over, saying that this is a county throughout the day, as we covered it with my colleague Matambo Lofty, in terms of the voting, peaceful, no drama, no chaos. Largely, we saw the queues and people turning up and the exercise going on. So many disappointed, but also those that perhaps will see this as a lifeline, especially those that face those challenges that were witnessed earlier in the day. Back to you, Betty.
All right, Sophia, maybe before I let you go, so there's some rules that the Secretary General had issued just a few days ago. Some of those rules, looking at them, were they followed promptly from where you are? All right, Sophia, just asking about some of the rules that were issued a few days ago. All right, seems that we've lost Sophia Wanuna there. We'll try and get her in a few minutes. But for now, though, we now want to take a look at just how Jubilee got to the dramatic decision of this total recall. Akisa Wandera has the details.
Chaos, confusion, anger, and violence in some parts hit the Jubilee Party primaries in more than half of the 21 counties where voting was meant to take place today. This even as aspirants called on their supporters to steer clear of the exercise until when the party organizes itself for a free and fair nomination exercise. Former Devolution Cabinet Secretary and a new entrant into politics, Anne Waiguru, was among the aspirants that demanded for a cancellation of the exercise, terming it as a sham and an embarrassment to the party.
I am not participating in a sham exercise, and neither are my supporters going to accept any announcement of results in Kirinyaga. Yes.
Waiguru, describing the process as a rigging plot, asked her supporters to not participate in the process, saying there will be no voting in Kirinyaga County.
And I am calling all my supporters, all my supporters, to stand with us firmly and tell the Jubilee Party that we will not accept a sham election. If they want to carry out a nomination exercise in Kirinyaga, they bring in out papers, people vote, they count those votes and decide who the leaders are.
The script was no different in Bomet County. Emotions ran high in a meeting between the aspirants and the county elections board officials. The aspirants engaged in an altercation with the officials and at some point threw out one of the members, Leon Timama, whom they said was trying to defend the party over the bungled nomination exercise. In Nandi County, Jubilee Party officials were forced to halt the exercise, saying voting materials were not adequate. Following this mayhem, rowdy youth took to the streets protesting the manner in which the exercise had been conducted. The youth attempted to block the road outside the county tallying center in expression of their displeasure. Now, two top Jubilee gubernatorial aspirants engaged in bitter blame games following the cancellation of the party's nominations. Governor Martin Wambora and Kirinyaga Member of Parliament Cecily Mbarire accused each other of being in possession of ballot papers, which they claimed were to be used to influence the outcome of the elections.
Hatuwezi kubali 1/4 ya kura wakati zilipiwa jana.
We are asking the county returning officer to recall all the materials that have been distributed anywhere in the county. All of them, they should come back to the centers, and you need to call a meeting for all the aspirants so that we can agree on a way forward. Right.
They rallied their supporters to boycott the election, claiming that ballot papers had been interfered with and was way below the number of registered voters in the polling centers. Akisa Wandera, KTN News.
Well, as you've seen, Kirinyaga County was one of the places that was met with some serious chaos and violence, like you've seen in the pictures. And our Sharon Momanyi is reporting tonight from there. Sharon, thank you very much for joining us. We had there the aspirant Anne Waiguru, of course, saying that indeed it was a shambolic exercise. Considering what has happened from the headquarters, have people welcomed this move to nullify this process?
Right, Betty, it has been a mixed reaction actually from the aspirants in Kirinyaga County with regards to that nullification of the entire exercise, with some welcoming it on the basis that they felt it was not a credible, free and fair exercise, but also saying that this the redoing of the entire thing will cost them quite a bit. So just some mixed feelings about the whole thing. And of course, it has been a headache. A sham is what one of the aspirants, Anne Waiguru, it as being. But right now, I want to get the reaction of one of the aspirants here on the ground who is vying for the women rep position here, just to hear what really has been her biggest headache with this latest news coming from the headquarters. Wangoi Ngirishi, many thanks for joining us this evening. So exactly how do you take this nullification?
Well, I think I would say I respect what the party has decided. Although really after we've spent so much time, nobody wouldn't feel really a bit touched. But well, I want to thank the people of Kirinyaga. They came out, and that's one of the things that was really amazing because we didn't expect such a huge turnout. But I hope that even Jubilee Party will learn from that, and when they're doing it again, they will put their strategies in.
They can do this, seeing as what happened today, right from the late distribution of these things to some polling stations in this county actually not getting materials at all.
Oh, well, that is why I'm saying it's like a mock exam, and I'm sure they've learned something like all of us have. So I believe they're going to do much better.
Right, since we're having some trouble, they're connecting with Sharon Momanyi, but we'll try and correct that and get back to her and listen to her discussion there. But for now, though, we wanted to take a break here on Friday Briefing, and we had asked you, really, what is your reaction to Jubilee's total recall of the nominations today? Quite a number of tweets, I must say, coming through. Remember, you can interact, #Friday Briefing, or you can tweet me at Betty M. Keller. Let me just sample one or two tweets here. Kipleting Manuela, you say today's incident is regrettable. In my voting station, we received 150 ballot papers, yet we have 1,500 voters. Sanai Vincent, you go on to say that it was the best thing to do. Lots of chaos was seen due to some improperly managed by aspirants and the officials of the elections. Also, somebody here, Teresa, you say quite sad the violence got upscaled. Somebody here, Jacob Adera, you say it's a good lesson to them. There's no democracy in Jubilee. Well, let's continue and take a look at others. Okay, Victor Omondi, it's a shame to the ruling party not to be able to hold free and fair nominations. What about the national ones? Chesinganga Kennedy, you say, yes, I am happy for that cancellation. Jubilee must go back to the drawing board. We want free and fair elections. All right, thank you very much for your comments. Do keep them coming. #Friday.